My neighbor, a prominent influencer advocating for ancient child-rearing practices, has nonetheless meticulously devised a modern scientific dietary plan for my son. Her son, nourished solely on a vegetarian diet, is robust and physically well-developed, whereas my own son appears pallid and diminutive, suffering from severe malnutrition. While her son bathes in sand dug from the earth and thrives, my son is plagued by recurrent urinary tract infections and persistent itching, ultimately forced to relieve himself in a manner akin to that of a eunuch. She administers her own concocted herbal remedies to her son, while my son succumbs to renal failure, spending his days in a hospital ward, ultimately withering away to a mere skeleton before passing away on the hospital bed. Since my son's demise, the neighbor has ceased her promotion of ancient child-rearing methods and has instead adopted a more health-conscious approach to parenting. I came to realize the connection between my son's fate and the neighbor, yet when I confronted her, I was ridiculed online and ultimately assaulted by outraged netizens, leaving me bloodied and confined to a psychiatric hospital. Upon reopening my eyes, I found myself back on the very first day the neighbor moved in with her son. 01. I burst through the door, just in time to catch sight of Zhou Ming leading her son, Shirtu, up the staircase. The haunting image of my previous life, where my little treasure was but skin and bones, racked with painful moans, and the despair of being cast into a psychiatric hospital flooded my mind like an explosive revelation. Hatred erupted within me like a volcano. In a fit of rage, I raised my hand uncontrollably. Crack! The sharp sound echoed as I struck my little treasure, sending him tumbling down the steps. His forehead struck the stairs, blood gushing forth in a torrent. My son, momentarily dazed from the blow, reached out for a comforting embrace through tears. Yet, I had no time to attend to him. My gaze was fixated on Zhou Ming and her child. Shirtu stood there unscathed, his cheeks rosy and his eyes pure, as if the tragedy unfolding before him had no bearing on his existence. Zhou Ming frowned slightly, her tone distant.
How could you strike a child?
We should take him to the hospital. She maneuvered around us with Shirtu in tow, unlocking her door with a demeanor akin to avoiding filth. A profound sense of absurdity washed over me. Why was there no transfer of consequences? No, in my past life, my son did indeed show improvement. The transfer was not one-sided. I must comprehend the underlying patterns. I will not allow my child to perish unjustly again. Mommy, it hurts. The pitiful call of my little treasure jolted my thoughts back to reality. I looked at my son's small hands, now stained with blood and dirt, and my heart felt as if it were being gripped tightly by an unseen force, rendering me breathless with pain. I bent down abruptly, enveloping my little treasure in a tight embrace, feeling him tremble against me. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, my little treasure. Mommy was wrong. Let's go home, and I'll help you tend to your wounds. I murmured incoherently as I hurried back to our home, cleaning the wound, applying medicine, and bandaging it. My little treasure gradually ceased to sobbing, leaving only faint hiccups. I held him tightly, yet my heart felt as cold as ice. This was all wrong. I had thought that harming my little treasure would somehow punish Shirtu, but that solid slap, along with my little treasure's tumble down the stairs, had left the mother and son next door unscathed. The harm I inflicted upon my little treasure had not, as I had surmised, transferred to Shirtu. I began to meticulously recall the events of my previous life, fearing I might overlook a single detail. 02 In my previous life, after I had lulled my little treasure to sleep, I heard that a new neighbor had moved in next door. When I went over to greet them, I witnessed Zhou Ming bathing her son in dirt dug up from the garden, still filled with grass roots. As she scooped the soil onto her child, she spoke passionately to the camera. The wisdom of our ancestors teaches us that children must be grounded. This natural earth contains the unseen essence of heaven and earth. It not only enhances a child's immunity, but also nourishes the skin, far superior to any chemical shower gel. Look at our Shirtu. He has been washed this way since childhood, and his health is exceptional. Yet, as I observed the untreated soil, thoughts of the myriad bacteria, parasites, and pollutants it might harbor filled me with unease. Concerned for my own son, who had a weaker constitution, I cautiously interjected. Is it really hygienic to bathe children in dirt from outside? The environmental pollution is quite severe, and I'm worried about bacteria and such. Young children have delicate skin, and their immunity is still developing. A knowing glimmer flashed in the neighbor's eyes. It's all right, my Shirtu can handle it, she declared. then turned her attention back to the camera, extolling the virtues of ancient child-rearing methods. Disheartened, I left, only to return home and find my son, little treasure, in agony. His body swollen and covered in sores, wailing inconsolably. Ever since the neighbor's arrival, my once healthy little treasure had gradually grown pale and sickly, falling ill at the slightest provocation. I found myself taking him to the hospital almost weekly, where, no matter the tests, the doctors could only conclude he was malnourished and surrounded by too many allergens. Just when I was engulfed in guilt, holding my son and weeping, the neighbor appeared at my door. Cradling her rosy-cheeked son, who thrived under her ancient rearing methods, she solemnly advised me, "Hiyue, relying solely on daily nutrition isn't enough. Your child is lacking a strong foundation. He needs something truly good to supplement him." She began recommending various infant nutritional products, not the folk remedies she had touted in her videos, but beautifully packaged, scientifically formulated supplements adorned with foreign labels. She pulled out her phone, showing me purchase links, pointing to the exorbitant prices with a tone of sincerity. "Yes, it's a bit pricey, but you get what you pay for. This money is an investment in your child's health. With your little treasure being so frail, you should spare no expense to remedy this." Looking at my ailing little treasure and then at the vibrant Shirtu, I gritted my teeth and emptied my savings, purchasing the expensive bottles and jars according to her recommendations. With each feeding, I harbored immense hopes, meticulously observing every minuscule change in my son. Yet no miracle occurred. Little treasure remained listless and lacked appetite, while those supplements, which were praised online for their efficacy, seemed to sink like stones in the ocean when applied to him, leaving not a ripple. However, I noticed that Shirtu, next door, seemed to be bursting with vitality. His eyes sparkled with brilliance, his skin radiated health, and an exuberance of life seemed to overflow from him. Meanwhile, my little treasure, often sickly, could only languish at the door, watching enviously as Shirtu called out to friends, leading them off to play soccer. Zhou cradled him, her smile brimming with pride.
See?
These supplements are effective. Just look at how well Shirtu is doing. 03. I repeatedly took my son for blood tests alongside those supplements, and the doctor even suspected that I was fabricating lies, contemplating reporting me for child abuse. After much persistence in proving the truth, the doctor finally accepted the situation. The child's malnutrition and developmental delays were evident. Yet logically, these supplements should have revived even the most sickly child. The doctor raised his head, a look of confusion in his eyes. According to our tests, these products are genuine and effective. Even if results vary from person to person, there should be at least some improvement. The doctor's words fell upon me like a bucket of ice water. If the products were sound, then why had my little treasure shown no signs of improvement? Why did Zhou Ming's son, despite subsisting on little more than scraps, appear increasingly vibrant? A ludicrous thought crept into my mind. Could it be that the nutrients from these supplements were somehow being transferred away in a manner I could not comprehend? I knew my thoughts bordered on madness, but could it truly be impossible? Yet, the path of science seemed futile. Perhaps a counterattack with poison could yield results? I knocked on the neighbor's door once more. "Sister Zhou, I see Shirtu thriving under your care, and I wish to seek your advice. If I were to try the ancient methods you advocate with little treasure, such as bathing him in outside sand or giving him that herbal concoction you prepare, would it be beneficial? Rest assured, I will spare no expense." I fixed my gaze upon her face. In that instant, the calm demeanor Zhou Ming wore vanished, panic flickering in her eyes.
No.
Absolutely not. Her voice rose sharply, resolute. You must be mad. Those methods are ancestral traditions, tailored to one's constitution and fate. Your little treasure is far too weak to endure them. If you recklessly proceed, you could harm him. Her reaction was excessive. This was highly unusual. A person who garnered attention by advocating ancient child-rearing methods should have been eager to promote them, not vehemently oppose inquiries. There must be something amiss with her practices. The more she resisted, the more convinced I became. Since the supplements had proven ineffective for my little treasure, perhaps administering them to Shirtu would yield different results. After all, they were merely supplements and wouldn't harm the child. I resolved to give it a try. The opportunity soon presented itself. On one occasion, Zhou Ming had to leave unexpectedly, entrusting her child to the property management for supervision. Shirtu, exhausted from running, yearned for water. My heart thundered as I gazed at the cup not far away. This was the moment. In a swift motion, I poured a packet of expensive supplements, originally intended for my little one, into Shida's water bottle and shook it to mix. Throughout the process, my palms were clammy with cold sweat. Oblivious, Shirtu gulped down several mouthfuls. That night, I cradled my ailing little one in my arms, hardly daring to close my eyes. However, in the dead of night, when I touched his forehead, it seemed to have cooled a bit. The following morning, he, in a long-awaited display of affection, expressed a desire for some rice soup. Though still weak, it was undeniably a sign of improvement. Overwhelmed with joy, I resolved to continue administering some supplements to Shirtu, at least until my little one's fever subsided. But then, the police arrived. Officer, it was her. While I was away yesterday, she drugged my son's water. Zhou Ming's voice was shrill and laced with tears. A picture of a wrong victim. My son has been lethargic and has lost his appetite since last night. It must be her doing. She wants to imprison me. I felt as if I had fallen into an icy abyss, hastily retorting, "You are speaking nonsense." I did nothing. The community's surveillance footage captured everything clearly. Zhou Ming abruptly pulled out her phone and played a video. In the footage, my back was turned to the camera, my shoulder movements suspicious. As I indeed poured something into Shida's water bottle. That was a supplement. Something beneficial for children. I hurried to explain, trying to produce purchase records. A supplement? How can you be sure what you added? What gives you the right to feed my son something without my consent? You are clearly envious, psychologically disturbed. You want to harm my child. The officer scrutinized me, then glanced at the surveillance footage. In the face of Zhou Ming's tearful accusations and the video evidence, my explanation seemed utterly feeble. Ms. Lin, please accompany us for further questioning. I was taken away. At the police station, I found myself at a loss for words. Zhou Ming had unleashed a torrent of accusations online, igniting public outrage. Headlines screamed about a malicious neighbor envious of a social media mother, poisoning her son. I became a pariah, vilified by everyone, with comments asserting that my little one deserved his fate. Such malice. No wonder a sickly child was born. A mother with such a heart must bear the sins of her own child. During my detention, my little one's condition deteriorated rapidly. He had been suffering from a high fever, and for reasons unknown, he suddenly developed multi-organ failure. When I was finally released due to insufficient evidence and rushed to the hospital, all I found was a small box and a drawing. The nurse looked at me with disdain and pity. This child suffered greatly before leaving us. He requested we leave this for you. Such a well-behaved child. How could he have a mother like you? Trembling, I unfolded the crumpled drawing, rendered in crooked crayon strokes, depicting two figures holding hands, accompanied by the misspelled words, Mama.
Noku.
Little treasure not in pain. Little treasure loves Mama. At that moment, all my strength evaporated, and my heart felt as if it had been ruthlessly torn apart. Like a walking corpse, I returned home and instinctively opened my phone. The first video that popped up was Zhou Ming's, racking up millions of likes. In the video, she was cheerfully brewing a pot of homemade herbal medicine, strange insect corpses floating in the concoction. Many fans inquired about Shida's robust health, to which she replied, "Aside from scientific feeding, the wisdom passed down from our ancestors is also crucial. Occasionally nurturing the body is essential." She then fed Shirtu a spoonful of that dark potion while he played with toys. He grimaced slightly, but still drank it down. In that moment, the string of reason in my mind snapped entirely. The juxtaposition of Shirtu's healthy, rosy face on the screen with the small box in my hand was profoundly ironic. In a frenzy, I dashed next door, pounding on the door with all my might. Zhou Ming opened it, and upon seeing me, her expression bore no surprise. Only a hint of icy mockery. "It's you. You killed my little treasure. What on earth happened? Return my son's life to me." I babbled incoherently, tears streaming down my face, consumed by a desire to tear her apart. Zhou Ming remained silent, calmly producing her phone and starting to record. "Look, she's back. Because of her lost child, she has been relentlessly pursuing me, falsely accusing me. I am truly terrified. Under the immense pressure of public opinion, I was forcibly committed to a psychiatric hospital. Yet, after my little one's death, Zhou Ming discarded her ancient child-rearing label and quickly transformed into a viral sensation, amassing millions of followers. In this new life, I remained vigilantly by my little one's side during the day, caring for him. At night, with red-rimmed eyes, I desperately searched online for ways to save him, but to no avail. His complexion visibly deteriorated daily, his frail body becoming increasingly emaciated, feeling weightless in my embrace. I became more vigilant regarding Zhou Ming. Her gentle voice wafted from the adjacent balcony. The wisdom of our ancestors, grains nourish, and a light diet is best for nurturing a child's innate vitality. Look at our Shirtu, raised vegetarian. His spirit is so vibrant. I clicked on the video, revealing a mound of wild vegetables, unfamiliar to me, in front of her. Just half an hour after the video was posted, my little one suddenly began to vomit violently, his small body curling up in agony, followed by a series of convulsions as he lost consciousness. Little treasure, little treasure. My soul shattered as I clutched my convulsing son and rushed downstairs. Zhou Ming opened her door, feigning surprise with her hand over her mouth. Oh, dear, what happened? He was fine just a moment ago. I glared at her but found myself unable to utter a word. Outside the emergency room, the doctor emerged with a grave expression. The child has food poisoning, with indications of acute liver and kidney damage. We need to perform gastric lavage and dialysis immediately. What did you feed him?
I
gave him meat and dairy.
Impossible.
Family members, please do not deceive the doctor. This concerns your child's life. Doubtfully, I pulled out the image of the wild vegetables from Zhou Ming's video, and the test results matched perfectly. The sound of the gastric lavage machine and the sight of the tube being inserted into my little one's frail body as he lay there, unconscious and writhing in pain, felt like a tormenting agony to my heart. I stood in the corridor, clutching the flimsy test report, my body chilled to the bone. Zhou Ming. She knew. She must have known there was something wrong with those wild vegetables. What was even more terrifying was that not long after, Zhou Ming, just as in the previous life, concocted a mud bath for viral attention. That very night, my little one's skin erupted into inexplicable rashes, which then developed into blisters.
Os impulsos.
I rushed him to various hospitals, but the doctors could only prescribe anti-inflammatory ointments, unable to explain the cause. I watched helplessly as my son became emaciated, unable to sleep at night due to itching and pain, his body nearly devoid of healthy flesh. Every day, I could see Shirtu frolicking in the yard through the window, even more robust than before. Zhou Ming's smile grew ever more radiant. Despair slowly consumed me. I contemplated feeding Shirtu nutritional supplements again, recalling how that had brought my little one a brief respite in the past. However, as soon as the thought emerged, it was swiftly crushed by a deeper fear. I dreaded her calling the police and having me imprisoned, only to return to find my little one as cold ashes. I rushed to the police station, accusing Zhou Ming of child abuse through her archaic methods of child rearing. But when the police arrived to investigate, Zhou Ming's face was one of innocence and surprise. Behind her, Shirtu appeared rosy-cheeked and bright-eyed, even greeting the officers politely. Officer, this is... Zhou Ming looked at me, then back at the police. Her expression filled with confusion. I pointed at her with great urgency. She feeds her son wild vegetables daily, sometimes even poisonous ones. Moreover, she bathes him with filthy mud. Such treatment of a child is utterly unacceptable. This is abuse. Zhou Ming's face bore a hint of unjust accusation. With a gentle sigh, she addressed the officer, Comrade. I believe this may be a misunderstanding. I am merely employing ancient methods of child rearing. Look at Shirtu. He appears to be thriving, does he not? The officer examined the lively and robust Shirtu, devoid of any red marks, then glanced at me, whose eyes were crazed with bloodshot veins, and at the sickly little bow peering from the doorway. Unsurprisingly, his skeptical gaze shifted towards me. Ms. He, the other child, seems to be in excellent condition. Yet, your child has developed such ailments. We recommend you undergo a psychological evaluation. After the officers departed, Zhou Ming turned to me, offering a smile devoid of warmth, and lightly remarked, pot calling the kettle black. At that moment, I felt as though I had fallen into an icy abyss. Following the complete rupture of our facade, Zhou Ming appeared to act with even greater impunity. Perhaps as a punishment for my defiance, she intensified her actions. She began to promote a method of moxibustion acupuncture that had never appeared in her previous life. In her videos, surrounded by swirling smoke from the mugwort, Zhou Ming wielded a slender silver needle, puncturing and scorching several acupuncture points on Shida's back. The camera zoomed in closely, revealing the astonishing depth to which the needle penetrated the skin. Throughout the ordeal, Shirtu remained expressionless, neither crying nor complaining, not even furrowing his brow in discomfort, as if the needles and moxibustion were merely gentle caresses. This sparked a wave of controversy in the comments section. It looks painful. How can the child show no reaction? Does the blogger possess a medical qualification? This is no laughing matter. It's terrifying. Is this truly safe? Yet, a greater number of fans emerged to defend her. Could a mother truly harm her own son? Just look at how healthy Shirtu is. If you don't understand the methods of our ancestors, refrain from speaking out of turn. Support Sister Zhou. Did you not see that the child showed no pain? This indicates that the method is gentle and effective. The ensuing debate generated substantial traffic. Zhou Ming skillfully steered public opinion, transforming skepticism into mere noise of ignorance toward traditional wisdom. She shared evidence of Shirtu being even more lively and enjoying his meals. And amidst the chorus of praise for maternal greatness and profound traditional knowledge, her follower count surged once again. However, less than 2 hours after she posted her video, little Bao suddenly exhibited symptoms of facial paralysis, his mouth crooked. He began to wail that his entire body ached. I rushed him to the hospital, where the emergency department was at a loss, ultimately transferring us to the traditional Chinese medicine department. The seasoned old practitioner, after a meticulous examination of Bao's condition, became gravely serious. As he assessed Bao's head and back, his expression darkened. When his fingers pressed on several specific acupoints, Bao nearly fainted from the pain. The old doctor's brow furrowed deeply. He did not have time to chastise me, immediately retrieving silver needles to commence treatment. Once Bao fell into a weary slumber, the doctor called me into his office, his face ashen, his voice low yet laced with fury. How could you be such a mother? Your child has been recklessly needled in critical areas. His meridians are completely disrupted. You must prepare yourself for the worst. I have already contacted my senior, but there may be little hope for recovery. I felt as though struck by lightning, my entire being turned cold. Acupuncture? Yes, the old doctor affirmed with certainty. Yet confusion soon clouded his features. But curiously, I've examined repeatedly, and there are no needle marks on the child. Not a single trace. How is this possible? I managed a bitter smile, choosing not to respond. I knew that such supernatural occurrences would be met with disbelief. The old doctor, accompanied by a group, exerted every effort to treat Bao, employing all possible measures to sustain his faint breath. Throughout the grueling 7 days, Bao scarcely ceased his cries. Watching him suffer, his face twisted in agony, the doctor's words about potential irretrievable loss echoed like a curse in my mind. Seeing my son's face contorted with pain, my heart felt as though it were being repeatedly sliced by a dull blade. He cried out, asking, "Mommy, why does it hurt so much? Why has my mouth suddenly gone crooked? Am I turning into a monster?" All I could do was hold his trembling little body tightly, futilely stroking his back, telling him that I was outside, yet powerless to help. The overwhelming guilt and heartache nearly crushed me, as he was once again racked with excruciating pain, crying out for me, "It hurts so much. Please make it stop." The thread of my sanity finally snapped. I bought every candy and chocolate from the downstairs supermarket and gave him an overdose of children's painkillers. "Eat, my dear, eat and the pain will cease. With candy, your mouth will be sweet." Under the dual influence of sugar and medication, Bao temporarily fell into a deep sleep, and his expression seemed to soften somewhat. Thus, after 7 days, the old doctor informed me that while the child was stable for the moment, the nerve damage would require time to heal, and it was uncertain whether the facial paralysis would fully resolve. Take care of yourself. Upon returning with my son, I learned that Shirtu had suddenly begun to clutch one side of his face, crying inconsolably. Zhou Ming hurriedly took him to the dentist, returning with a pale complexion. Shirtu, who had once boasted a mouthful of healthy teeth, now suffered from extensive, severe cavities overnight, causing him such pain that he could not even eat. As I stood by the window, watching Zhou Ming return with the sobbing Shirtu, my heart first filled with astonishment, only to be suddenly illuminated by realization. So that was it. I embarked on a thorough regimen of joyful therapy for little Bao. I purchased boxes of candies, chocolates, chips, and sodas, allowing him to indulge freely. No longer were there restrictions or reservations. Bao transitioned from disbelief to sheer ecstasy, his once dim countenance, dulled by pain, began to sparkle with long-lost joy as he devoured the treats. "Mommy, I want more of that strawberry-flavored one." "All right, eat as much as you desire today." Simultaneously, I scarcely cooked anymore. We traversed the city's various corners, sampling food from unsanitary yet flavor-rich eateries. Bao ate to the point of sweating, his little mouth flushed from spice. Yet he danced with excitement. The price of all this joy was precisely mirrored in Shirtu's condition. In the neighboring unit, Shirtu, who had just undergone surgery for his cavities, saw a rapid deterioration of his condition. Zhou took him to every dental clinic in the city, but to no avail. The persistent pain left him weeping throughout the night, unable to eat normally, surviving only on liquids. He began to vomit and have diarrhea, visibly losing weight at an alarming rate. Zhou, frazzled, took him from pediatrics to gastroenterology, undergoing examination after examination, yet the results remained inconclusive. I stood by the window, observing Zhou once more dragging a weak and whimpering Shirtu back from the hospital. The composure and gentility she once radiated were replaced by exhaustion, anxiety, and panic. Whispers began to circulate within the community. "Have you heard? That internet celebrity's child, who used to be so well cared for, now has rotten teeth and is suffering from diarrhea, looking emaciated. Could it be that her ancient methods of child-rearing have failed? I said it wouldn't work." Listening to the gossip and observing my son, contentedly satiated with junk food in my arms, I couldn't help but smile at his unexpectedly rosy complexion, a testament to his satisfaction. Despite the fact that Zhou was too preoccupied to indulge in traditional child-rearing methods, I felt a sense of relief. My little treasure was happily licking his lollipop, tilting his cherubic face up to me, asking Mommy, "Are we going to eat those spicy noodles again tomorrow?" I gently wiped the sugar residue from the corner of his mouth and replied with a smile, "Of course, we will. As long as my little darling is happy. Mommy will take you every day." It was evident that Zhou was facing dire straits. The frailty of her son, Shirtu, was impossible to conceal, effortlessly shattering the carefully curated facade of her ancient parenting methods. The online discourse had completely crumbled, inundated with skepticism and ridicule. Is this the result of traditional child-rearing? Look at how emaciated the child has become. All those extravagant claims were mere deception. Unfollowing immediately, it pains my heart to see the child like this. She attempted to pivot her approach, posting a few videos on scientific feeding practices, yet the comments section remained rife with doubts regarding her credibility and inquiries about Shita's condition. The confluence of her professional debacle and the torment of her child's illness ultimately snapped the taut string of her composure. That evening, having just lulled my little one to sleep after an exhausting day of play, I was startled by a violent pounding on the door, accompanied by Zhou almost unhinged shrieks.
"Hey you!
Come out. I know you're behind this. Show yourself." I approached calmly, almost incredulously, as I beheld Zhou, nearly unrecognizable in her disheveled state, her hair a chaotic mess, eyes sunken and bloodshot.
"Hey you!
What have you done to my son?" She lunged towards me, attempting to grab my collar, but I sidestepped her advance. Her finger jutted accusingly at me, her voice sharp as a blade. "Is it you? Did you do something?" Shirtu was fine before. How could he suddenly be like this? "Did you harm him?" Leaning against the doorframe, I regarded her hysterical performance with a placid expression, a hint of derision gracing my features. "Sister Zhou, your words are quite amusing," I replied in a tone that was both calm and slightly languid. "What could I possibly do to your son? I'm merely a mother, striving to raise my child happily. What business is it of yours? If Shirtu is ill, take him to the hospital. What do you intend to achieve by confronting me?" I paused deliberately, letting my gaze sweep over her pallid visage, feigning astonishment. Could it be that your family's ancestral methods have finally backfired? You're talking nonsense." Zhou trembled with rage. She suddenly turned to glance at her tightly shut front door, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "Don't think I don't know. It's you. You've used some wicked method against us. Let me tell you, if anything happens to Shirtu, I will not let you off the hook. I will ensure you and your sickly child pay dearly." I stepped closer, leaning in to whisper deliberately, "Zhou, listen closely. Whether your son lives or dies has nothing to do with me, just as my little darling's fate was of no concern to you. As for your so-called wicked methods, I said, a sardonic smile curling my lips, I'm merely attempting to be a good mother, loving my son in my own way. Is there any fault in that? Zhou Ming's pupils dilated, as if she gleaned some hidden truth from my words. She parted her lips, as if to say more. But I was no longer interested in hearing her. Tend to your own son, Zhou, the internet celebrity. Do not play the victim here. The last phrase, the thief crying thief, I withheld, merely echoing her earlier frantic pleas as I dismissed her with a cold finality. Stepping back to firmly shut the door with a resounding thud. The sound reverberated, effectively sealing her screams and curses outside. Leaning against the icy door, I could hear her anguished sobs and the sound of her unsteady departure. I rested my head against the door, covering my eyes with my arm, allowing a smile of bittersweet satisfaction to emerge, reveling in the small measure of revenge I had achieved. I edited a video of Zhou Ming's hysterical outburst at my door, instantly igniting public discourse. In my previous life, Zhou Ming had utilized public sentiment to force me into a psychiatric hospital. This time, I would unleash her own pride against her. The room had long been outfitted with a pinhole camera, lying in wait for her to reveal a crack in her facade. Once the video was released, riding the wave of Zhou Ming's downfall as a prominent influencer, the traffic surged dramatically. I approached my bedside, gazing at my son's peaceful visage, tenderly tucking him in. Zhou Ming, how does it feel to be devoured by the very public opinion you once wielded so effortlessly? How does it feel to witness your beloved child suffer while feeling utterly powerless? This is merely the appetizer. Capitalizing on the momentum, I crafted an entirely new persona. While Zhou Ming championed traditional methods, I promoted a joyful approach to parenting, branding it as a magical paradigm shift. My inaugural video featured my son and me indulging in a smorgasbord of junk food and sweets, crisps, fried chicken, fizzy drinks, and more. Since Zhou Ming's arrival, my son had become frail and sickly. It had been ages since he had relished such jubilant feasting. Riding the wave of Zhou Ming's previous success, this contrasting video went viral in an instant. The cacophony of support and dissent echoed vibrantly, but the interest was unprecedented. The wails of Shirtu next door, suffering from a toothache, became the most delightful music to my ears. Yet, that was merely the beginning. I whisked my son across the nation. In a Japanese restaurant, we savored translucent sashimi. In Shund, we reveled in silky fish salad. In Yunnan, we dared to try the region's signature raw marinated meat. The comment section erupted, yet I remained unfazed. Popularity was my currency, and I was determined to watch Zhou Ming bear witness as I gradually seized the influence she once held dear. Until one day, Zhou Ming ceased her online presence. Upon inquiry, I discovered that Shirtu had experienced a sudden, severe headache, prompting an emergency hospital visit. The test results revealed abnormal shadows within his brain tissue, highly suspected to be a parasitic infection, possibly of multiple varieties. Such intracranial parasites are exceedingly rare and perilous, with the treatment process likely to be agonizingly prolonged and fraught with serious aftereffects. Zhou Ming had completely lost her mind. Her private messages bombarded my account like explosives. Why are you doing this? You're harming my son.
Please stop.
I know it's you. I was wrong. I shouldn't have acted that way before. I apologize. Please, spare my child. What do you want? I'll compensate you. How much do you need? Just let my son be. I surveyed her incoherent pleas and threats with a sardonic smile. Now you feel the pain, having inflicted harm on another's child? When you were hurting others, did you not recognize your own wrongdoing? Now that the tide is turned, you plead for mercy? I not only ignored her, but also announced in my latest video that I would be taking my son to India to experience the sacred Ganges, to feel the ancient power of purification. The internet erupted once more, with posts detailing the bacterial contamination of the Ganges, heavy metal pollution, floating corpses, and pathogenic microbes being fervently tagged to me by concerned netizens. Fans and passers-by left comments urging me to reconsider, warning that this was no longer a challenge, but a reckless gamble with life. Zhou Ming, in a frenzy, sent me a barrage of private messages, alternating between insults and desperate pleas. I read each one, savoring every nuance of her unraveling emotions, yet remained resolutely indifferent. This was precisely the outcome I sought. Zhou Ming ceased her online harassment, opting instead to confront me in person, frantically banging on my door.
Hey you.
Open up. You're not allowed to go. You can't go to India. What do you intend to do? Her voice was a piercing distortion, laden with despair. I truly realized my mistakes. It was I.
The wretch.
I am not human. I implore you, spare Shirtu. He is but a child and cannot endure this. I bow before you. Please, open the door. Inside. Cradling the serene child engrossed in his toys, I listened to the anguished wails outside, my heart swelling with the sweet satisfaction of revenge. Zhou Ming, are you anxious? Are you afraid? The torment you inflicted upon my son, I shall ensure you witness it, bit by bit, upon your precious child. This is merely the beginning. The game has only just commenced. I dialed the police. Hello, is this the police? There is an unstable individual relentlessly banging on my door, frightening my child. The address is. The police arrived promptly. Outside, Zhou Ming's cries morphed into more desperate pleas and struggles. Officer.
No.
It is she. She intends to harm my son. She wants to take her child to the Ganges. She seeks to kill my son. A faint smile curled upon my lips as I stepped outside to explain to the officers. You see, officers, I am merely planning to take my child to India for a trip. I wish to take him wherever I please. Is that not my personal freedom?
Yet.
She has been obstructing my exit, thus I hope you can escort her away. Zhou Ming stammered, unable to articulate her defense, much like I once had.
Mum.
Please remain calm. Do not disturb the other residents. Otherwise, we shall have to take coercive measures. The officers sternly warned, attempting to remove her. In a furious attempt to escape, Zhou Ming suddenly broke free and lunged towards my front door.
Thud.
Zhou Ming collapsed heavily to the ground, her forehead striking the tiles with a sickening thud. You, I beg you, spare my son. I bow before you. Please, let him go. Her cries mingled with the sounds of her being dragged away, fading into the depths of the corridor. The following day, before boarding a plane, I proactively contacted the police to issue a letter of forgiveness for Zhou Ming, requesting her release. After all, this grand performance could not proceed without its most vital spectator. I wanted her to witness every moment as I led her precious child towards the Ganges. In Varanasi, India, by the banks of the Ganges, the murky waters exuded a distinct odor. On the live stream, I wore a radiant smile, holding hands with my son as we stood by the river. I knew Zhou Ming was watching. I intended for her to see everything unfold, powerless to intervene. I led my son step by step into the water. Just as the river threatened to engulf his knees, a venerable voice resonated behind me.
Halt.
The curse upon the child cannot be lifted in this manner. I turned abruptly, encountering an ascetic elder whose profound gaze seemed to pierce my very soul. He guided us back to the shore, gently placing his finger upon my son's brow. After a moment of contemplation, he spoke slowly. A woman has used dark sorcery to transfer calamity and illness onto this child, nourishing her own offspring with it. This curse is insidious, undermining the very essence of life. My heart trembled, and I fell to my knees. I beseech you, Master, save my son. I am willing to give anything, and offer a generous reward. The elder sighed. Very well, this curse is malevolent. A donation of 500,000 to our temple will suffice. As merit to offset some karmic debt. Grant me 3 days and nights, and I shall help you resolve this matter. I shall donate. I immediately acquiesced. Without a hint of hesitation. Let it be 500,000. Even if it required my entire fortune, I would not hesitate to sever that malevolent connection. For the next 3 days and nights, the elder was exceedingly busy. On the third day, I heard a crack, as if something had shattered. The elder withdrew his hand, his expression calm. The curse has been broken. The one who cast it shall reap the consequences. Almost simultaneously with the breaking of the curse, my son stirred, murmuring softly as he awakened. Mama? He gazed at me, displaying a natural, radiant smile. I embraced him tightly, tears of joy streaming down my face. I expressed my profound gratitude to the elder and fulfilled my promise of donation. Departing with my rejuvenated son, I ignored the skepticism online, eager to return home and witness Zhou Ming and Shida's fate. Zhou Ming and her son were involved in a car accident. Both were left paralyzed on the spot. their bodies covered in countless oozing sores, emitting a foul stench. The doctors declared that neither would ever stand again. Even if they awoke, they would be confined to wheelchairs and respirators for the rest of their lives. Furthermore, within days, they fell victim to a fraudulent scheme, losing all their possessions. Holding my account with 1 million followers, cradling my son whose complexion was now vibrant and serene, I gazed into the distance. Everything had come to an end. This is the taste of retribution. I looked down and gently kissed my son's cheek, whispering softly, "Little Bao, Mama will take you home." The end. Thank you for listening. Until we meet again in the next story.